Hello.
Hello, guys. We just totally buggered ourselves and like started the show, but weren't actually recording the whole time.
We should did a podcast for just me and you.
We literally did. We did a podcast.
Just like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, was it like?
It was only like 2 minutes, bro.
It felt like it was 15
Nah,
minutes.
it was like
of us just like talking to thin air.
It was just 2 minutes. It was not too bad.
Last week we were live without audio for like 10 minutes or some shit. Then I don't feel bad about myself because we watched Duncan Trussell's podcast and he like the first 15 minutes as well, like he had no audio at all.
Yeah, he fucked up his OBS settings as well, so I didn't feel so bad.
If someone as cool as Duncan Trussell can fuck up like that, then we don't need to feel so bad about ourselves.
He's technical enough to have produced a whole TV show, and he still fucks up his OBS settings.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't ride me so hard when I fuck it up.
You did get in trouble last week. I gave you a good chewing out behind the scenes. I was like, Jake, you need to be more conscientious, and like gave him the whole like granola mom spiel. But it's okay, it's fine. We were also just talking about Duncan Trussell's cool voice and how there's this weird breed of man that like sounds southern but also Californian at the same time.
Because they are born in the South somewhere, but then have to go to California to make it as an actor.
Like Matthew McConaughey and like Woody Harrelson. They have this crunchy Californian essence, but then it's also this like honed down Southern wisdom or whatever. I think it's a great mix. I'm very much into it. I was also saying about how when we went to Jake's barber last week, because I was bored, they had like all the manly books there for the men. So I was like, what is the manly reading they have? And they had Matthew McConaughey's like memoir, which was like full of all of his trauma and stuff, which I found, I don't know. It's clear that he's like quite philosophical and is like attempting to grasp at like the meaning of life or whatever. But at the same time, he discloses like a lot of pain and trauma right off the bat. And it seems like a lot of these celebrity books do that. Like with Prince Harry's like Spare, it was like the same thing where it's just like, I was molested at 3 years old. It's like, dude, whoa, like.
Was he molested?
Yeah.
Oh dear, who by?
I didn't read that far.
I mean, you read that someone got molested and then you didn't read any further.
I mean, I'm not the kind of person who wants to like dig into people's like, I mean, would you?
I mean, if I knew that there was going to be juicy stories in there, I'd probably still...
That doesn't count as a juicy story. Jesus, what's wrong with you? That's like someone's like mental anguish or whatever.
I don't know. I'd still probably find out who it was. At least to see if it was, fucking King Charles or whatever.
No, not.
He'd got his fat sausage fingers in his butt.
I'm not talking about Harry. I'm talking about Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
That would be even weirder if he was molested by King Charles.
All the way from England, just like hanging out in like Louisiana or wherever he's from. Oh gosh. But yeah, I thought it was funny that like at the male barber, that was like the caliber of book that was there. Like Rough Spun Wisdom and Trauma Dumping by Matthew McConaughey.
Well, on another note, did you enjoy the intro music? If so, you can now get it. Possibly even on vinyl. There are a few vinyls left. My album that I have spent quite a while formulating and putting together has finally released last week. I shared it in the Discord. I shared it all over the shop, as many places as I possibly could. And yeah, it's had a really nice little response. I had a nice little listening party last week for it. And yeah, you can get it on my Bandcamp. You can check it out at elmcollective.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, most of the music in my like videos and stuff on YouTube are Jake's stuff. So if you like any of his ambient tunes or whatever, you can ELM Collective Records at bandcamp.com.
I forget I put the records in there on the URL as well.
I love how last week, it wasn't last week, it was a couple of weeks ago, you were like, oh, never do plugs for our show. But it's okay to do plugs for your music, though.
Absolutely, it's okay to do plugs for my music.
Shameless. Why is that okay? We can't plug.
Why is that okay?
We can't plug.
If you had an
podcast,
article,
we can't plug.
If you had an article out on, you know, some
why can't we
sort
plug
of,
the show itself if you're allowed to do plugs? Is what I'm wondering.
Because because you don't need to plug the show if you're already fucking watching the show. People are watching the show. They don't need to be advertised the show.
No, but in terms of like the extra perks, you're like, no, never do that. They'll find it if they want to or whatever. But then you're allowed to fucking plug your music.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah,
Jake's
I am
just
allowed
like,
to
Jake's
plug
like
my
just
music.
doing a Chad yes, just like yes.
This is the way it is. I'm sorry.
But yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
What else is cool is happening? We're going to Warwick Castle at the weekend.
We are indeed.
We're going to
a mighty medieval extravaganza weekend.
Jake's dad is like really into English history and like anything to do with like castles and stuff. So they've organized a trip for us and his whole family to go glamping at Warwick Castle, which I'm really excited about. And you told me there's going to be a feast and there's going to be jousting.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds so fucking up my alley.
And a falcon hunting dude.
What does that entail?
You know, like a falcon guy with the glove, and he has the falcon, and it goes off and it finds like some poor animal, and it hunts it and it brings it back.
That's awful.
Or maybe they don't do that bit anymore. Maybe they like make it get a beanbag or something, like, you know,
something
civilized.
Family friendly and civilized.
Yeah,
it just brings you like a dead bunny. Watership Down style. All the kids start crying.
Just puts a damper on everyone. Just like, oh my god.
But we're at the feast and this fucking crow is bringing like a dead bird and everything. Everyone's just like freaked out and like bummed out. No, I'm excited though, because I think this will be my first time camping. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I did it once with you and like your fucking druggy friends, which is like
that was
the
not
worst.
the best intended you know, camping trip. It was
you were like,
unplanned.
oh, it'll be fun. We're just gonna go up to some like little whimsical wood in Oxfordshire and like have a time with a few of my friends. Next thing you know, it wasn't in Oxfordshire. We were like climbing Chinna Forest Hill or whatever the fuck, and it was like perpendicular like this. So there was no flat land whatsoever. So we were basically camping like this and sleeping like this. And then all of your druggy friends decided to come along, and it just turned into you guys doing coke around the campfire. And it was like, why am I here? And I got like eaten by bugs. And it was like the most rough camping experience I've ever had. And like, I'm like a gentle outdoorsy girl. Like I'm not the kind of outdoorsy girl where I'm like gonna like roll around in the bushes and like piss in the woods. Like I need there to be like amenities and like at least some.
There wasn't any of that. It was very much like a you know, an improvised sesh in the woods.
It was just you and your fucking hobbit mates being wild and having your little bacchanal.
It was.
And it was like, why did you bring me to this? And then I don't know, I wanted to get involved in the shenanigans, but I was also just really, this was my first time camping. And like I was terrified. We were in the middle of the woods. There were all kinds, it was dark. There were all kinds of crazy sounds. There was like an angry groundskeeper who everyone was saying we needed to hide from and like avoid because it was kind of technically illegal that we were there. Like I was just too nervous to like.
It won't be like that this time, okay? It's all going to be nice teepees. There's actual beds.
Good.
It's going to be good.
The second time actually was at your cousin's.
Oh yeah, there was teepees, but there was no beds.
Yeah, teepees, no beds. Again, I was freezing cold and like. Your sister bought like nice bed stuff for her and her brother. And
I think we forgot the memo that we were camping.
Yeah.
And we were sort of like, oh, what are we doing? Oh yeah, whoops.
So all we had were like really thin sleeping bags. I was cold and Jake like runs really hot. And I was like trying to get under and snuggle with you. And you were like, I'm too hot, get away from me. And I was like, I'm freezing. Like,
I was also drunk. So it was just you were like not having it. You were like
complete, because it was after the wedding. So you just slumped down.
Wasn't having it.
And I was like semi-drunk, whatever. But I don't know. I like have low iron or whatever. And I'm like neurotic and I get cold. And there was bugs in the tent and stuff. I don't know. I'm just like, I just hope that this time isn't like that. Because wait, we go on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm. No, on Saturday. On Saturday morning.
So how long is it?
What do you mean?
Is it like Saturday, Sunday evening when you're back, or what?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that long.
It's only one night.
It's only one night. Okay, of jousting and feasting.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to the most, the joust or the feast?
Both. in equal measures.
Well, do they have like a market or like a gift
I'm
shop?
sure they'll have all sorts of little trinket-y things there.
Next week we'll show you all of our like loot, our medieval
loot from the medieval
from Warwick
weekend.
Castle. And if you're in our Discord, we'll definitely post pictures of our little adventure. Where is Warwick, by the way? Is it close to Oxfordshire, or do we have to travel far?
It's not in Oxfordshire. It's in Warwickshire.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what all the shires.
I mean, if somewhere has a castle, it's fairly safe to assume that it probably has its own kind of like citydom.
How far is it? I mean, from like civilization.
You mean from London?
Sure.
How far is it from London?
Yeah, pretty much.
About 2 hours, I think, on the train.
So are we going straight to Warwickshire,
Yeah.
or are we going to your parents and then going to Warwickshire?
We're going straight to Warwick Castle.
Oh my god, I'm scared.
Why?
I'm going out into the fucking wild.
Don't be scared, it'll be fun.
I'm going into the wilderness. Oh my goodness. It'll be fun though. I need to figure out like what I'm gonna wear. If I should dress practical, or if I should bring like my whimsical dresses along to suit the vibe and the aesthetic. Or if I'm gonna like freeze my ass off, because the weather's been super bipolar lately.
It's just been the classic English summer.
Yeah, man. I'm sad. Last summer was really good. This summer it's been like fucking shit. And like awful and like rainy and bad. But the rest of Southern Europe is enjoying a marvelous heat wave, which I'm really like jealous of. And aren't we supposed to have one?
When it hits, you won't be saying that. You'll be like, oh my god, put the fan on my face.
Well, such is the English way, is to constantly complain about the weather. That's like our favorite pastime in this country.
You just got to lean in and enjoy it, mate, when it's here.
One device that would be interesting to take on our camping excursion is this like terrible thing that I saw on TikTok that I wanted to share. I think we should start a new segment on this show where we basically like look at the terrible, awful...
Introduce the show with a
awful technology.
A piece of terrible technology.
Yeah. Like, since we're in the technological age of innovation or whatever the fuck, there's a lot of crap that's, like, advertised. And this, like, satanic, demonic, hikikomori technology...
This has been coming up a lot on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just stumbled across, like... a hole where like all the videos of this pot were getting shown to us.
Well, it's like basically a pot that you can plug into your USB.
No,
port.
this is what I got wrong, and even in this video here I can see that I got it wrong. It's not USB pot. I thought it was a USB pot because they're on the bed with their laptop. But
well, the whole point is for you to be able to
you charge the pot up and then you can take it anywhere and fucking cook, basically.
The point is for you to be able to cook in bed. Like, if this was like something that was like a camping amenity, something you used once in a while when you were out adventuring with your friends, like in life, sure. But people are using this to basically cook macaroni and cheese in bed while they're gaming. And like, that's just like...
It's a pro gamer move. Let's be honest.
What the fuck?
It's an absolute pro gamer move.
It's a pro gamer move.
It's an absolute pro gamer move. And you're just jealous that you don't have your own pot yet. That's what it is.
This is hideous. There seems to be a lot of this. There's even a mini fridge. Like a USB mini fridge where you can store your Monster Energy for when you're gaming. And it's just like, what is going on?
Another pro gamer move. Okay.
What the fuck is going? I don't know, man.
I want this, especially.
I feel like you've hit rock bottom if you're making mac and cheese in bed in front of your laptop.
Especially to cook this specific recipe.
This is disgusting. Is that oil?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jalapeno poppers in bed. I'm all about that life.
Oh my god, that looks so disgusting. It looks so fucking hideous.
I'm all about that life.
Dude, what kind of fucking hikikomori technology is this?
I love me some jalapeno poppers. I would make some homemade ones, I'm not going to lie, because those kind of frozen ones are kind of grim.
I can't believe you called it a pro gamer move.
It is a pro gamer move.
I'm disappointed.
Why are you disappointed?
I'm fucking deeply and bitterly disappointed.
You shouldn't be. This is like, you know...
There seems to be a lot of gadgets sort of coming out geared towards like staying in bed. And that's like really unhealthy.
Well, they're just trying to...
bad.
I think they're just trying to make the
like at least market it to like be like, this is for camping when you're going outside. But these companies are like... leaning into the degeneracy of like, yeah, this is for you to make mac and cheese in bed while you're gaming or like playing The Sims or whatever.
I think they're just gonna make all these new technologies so the next lockdowns
Sorry, I have a cough.
are actually going to be a lot more tolerable. Look at this genius.
This is disgusting.
This guy's living in the year 3000.
What did he just put the chicken wings in?
Like some sort of like Asian red sauce stuff.
That looks like fucking radioactive.
Bang, mate.
Did he just like put cilantro on there?
You got wings in bed. Mac and cheese in bed.
I'm disappointed in industrial civilization.
Does this make you want to be Kaczynski?
It does. It makes me Kaczynski feel. This is so bad.
Is it though?
It kind of is. Go to the kitchen. Is it too much for you to go to the
Why would you go to the kitchen, dude, when you can literally make your whole dinner in one pot and eat it in one pot?
It's awful.
So you don't have to make any fucking
like,
washing up.
The only way that that's excusable is if you're like a uni student.
Dude, he's making an omelette in bed.
No, I don't need to see any more, please. Oh my god, no.
Dude, he's actually doing some chefery right now, and he's making a whole omelette in bed.
Jesus Christ.
Did he put flour in the omelette? That is not an omelette recipe. That looks like an absolute garbage omelette, I'm not going to lie. You can't use that pot to make omelettes, bro. You shouldn't advertise it in that way.
Ruled out.
They're
ruled out.
Mac and cheese, yes. Cheese gudon, absolutely. You could make a fine cheese gudon.
Oh god, don't be disgusting.
In this thing.
Don't be fucking disgusting.
Lamb chops, I feel like is a bit too far. You can't do
lamb chops in there.
Also, why are they in a fast food container? that doesn't fill me. That does not spark joy. I
apologize for my cough. I've been like coming down with something for the past couple of days.
You gotta die a little bit quieter, babe.
Oh, thanks. I'm trying my best to suppress it. That looks disgusting. That's awful. This motherfucker thinks he's like a gaming gourmet.
He is. He's making lamb chops in bed, dude. Where do you have to make lamb chops? In your kitchen?
A chump?
In your kitchen like a fucking chump?
Oh my god.
You have to leave the lobby. You have to leave the chat to go and make lamb chops. This guy doesn't have to leave any chat. He's literally ready to go.
I can't believe it sometimes. Like, oh my god. But like, if you're like a uni student or something, that's like understandable. But if you're like using that normally,
I'm gonna get one.
You've hit rock bottom.
I'm gonna get one.
You are not in this house,
dude. We can get one, and then we can make mac and cheese whilst we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, we could just like cook a whole mukbang.
I feel like that's what you have. We have to differentiate ourselves, and we should maybe take some cues from the TikTok generation, where they've got Subway Surfers and like all this stuff going on. And it's not just us doing a podcast, but now we're doing a podcast and we're like cooking lobster in this fucking like tendies pot.
Why don't we get like a George Foreman grill and like reverse engineer it so that it plugs into the USB and just call the podcast Grillin' and Chillin'?
No, this is where I fucked up. It's not USB. I thought that was kind of the magic of this.
So what do you do? Do you charge it or do you plug it into the wall?
I think you charge it because in all of these videos, it's obviously working with him just being on the bed or them just being on the bed, but it has a mains socket on the back of it, like an IEC socket. I feel like it's
dangerous. I feel like that's dangerous. It reminds me, in the like early 2000s/90s, those like blankets, those plug-in blankets that you could have.
They still got electric blankets, babe.
Yeah, but there were lots of accidents that occurred with those.
I feel like
I feel like these like weird like new portable fucking things that aren't meant to be portable are like there's even one I saw which is like a water dispensing device for next to your bed. It's like, dude, just go to the fucking kitchen and get water.
Even you bringing up the electric blanket thing and the way that I know about the media now makes me question how dangerous electric blankets really were.
You think it was just mom paranoia?
I feel like maybe one rich person got slightly burned or had like a bad experience with an electric blanket, and then they like lobbied and paid all these money to like make electric blankets look terrible and that they were dangerous and a threat to try and get everybody to boycott them.
They're a threat to children.
And yeah, what about the children?
I still don't trust. I still feel kind of skeeved out about
them. Because you were fucking taken in by the psyop, mate.
Am I now?
Yeah.
Is electric blankets the old school version of seed oils?
I think it is. I think it was just like fake information spread to make everybody avoid. Are you gonna die in the podcast?
I'm so sorry.
What's the matter?
I have a cold, like, that's been coming up for the past couple of days. I'm really sorry. And it's just decided to get worse.
Have you eaten something that's gone down the wrong way?
I don't know. I just feel like really, congested and gross. I'm so sorry if it's like disturbing to you.
We finished our chigu a long time ago. So you shouldn't be choking about that.
We've been eating this...
That's why I'm so interested in this pot, because we've been making a lot of chigu. And
lots of noodles recently.
Actually, no chi, but much goo.
Oh my God.
Much gudon, but no chi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, no gudon, because it's not rice. We've not been making rice bowls. That's what gudon is, right?
No, it's just like a normal noodle thing that we've been making, but it's like so spicy. It's this like new Korean.
It's the hot chicken South Korean one, and you know what the one I'm talking about, because it's got the cartoon of the chicken on it, where he's like wincing and like breathing fire on the front of the packet, and you don't think it's going to be that hot. But it's fucking ridiculous.
It's like crazy hot.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
But I was craving spice, but then I was like, I'm not craving that much spice. Like, it was really fucking crazy hot. But like, I make them the proper way, like the cute Ponyo way. I would never sit in bed and like fucking make noodles in a life hit rock bottom pot for sure. Like, definitely not. But I thought, I don't know, we could make that a segment on the show where we
I feel like if I had that pot, I would actually cook myself some sort of food whilst you were away.
Like what?
Anything, lamb chops, anything,
you
clearly.
Cook lamb chops?
Yeah, clearly.
You'd sit here and cook lamb chops.
Yeah, it's just one pot that I can cook whilst I'm still like sat at my desk. And I'm not going to make mess.
When I'm away, and it's like so sad because the thing is, when I'm here, you cook so beautifully, like because your mom was a chef, so you like know how to cook and you're good at it. But then when I'm not here, you just like degenerate and you're like, I'm just gonna make the most greasy, like worst thing ever. Like if I go to visit family or whatever, if I'm like away anywhere, you literally like fucking just like eat the worst thing possible. Why is that?
I just make cheeseburgers because it's easy and it doesn't make mess.
Or hot dogs as well.
Or hot dogs, but although hot dogs, you can't do that for too many days.
Or you'll be like, you'll get really sad. Like when I travel to visit family and stuff, you'll get really sad and be like, I ate a frozen pizza. And I'm like, why? why do you need me to be there in order to feel like you should cook?
Because I don't want to make mess.
Is that really it?
Yeah, I don't want to make mess. I don't want to make mess and have to clear up after myself. I'd rather just have one pot chi gudon.
Is this what men are going to replace women with? These like fucking USB pots and sex robots.
Yeah, you showed me. You showed me one that was of like some sort of exoskeleton to like clearly host like a what do you call it? Like a in the most diplomatic way possible.
A fleshlight.
A masturbatory aid for gentlemen.
And it like goes back and forward.
And it looks at the movement of a cartoon and follows the butt of this bunny.
It's like an anime bunny thing.
As it moves around, and it's sort of like you just need that on your cock whilst you're making your fucking your mixed meat udon in your pot. Bang! You're literally. Why do you need to leave? You
just got like a fucking.
You got everything you need right there.
A fucking USB pot and a USB like GF, and that's it.
Especially, dude, you can telegram drugs to your house now and pay in crypto bits.
We've not done that yet.
No, because
we're still doing it the old school way.
I know.
I just feel sketched out by it. Maybe that's like a boomer anxiety.
We have to just embrace the full cyberpunkness of 2023.
Lean into it
and stop trying to like resist it so much. But I've always resisted it. So like one of the things that we're going to talk about today is talking about leaning into the new world. All right, it's very on topic. We're going to talk about this little thing called Worldcoin that was cooked up by Sam Altman, CEO and founder of OpenAI.
He's quiet. He's one of the quiet ones. He's not like out there showing us his ass every day.
He definitely looks like
tech lizards.
He still definitely looks like he licks his eyeballs. Let's be completely honest.
He does look like an eyeball licker.
He doesn't look like your average dude.
Yeah.
Still.
All of them have that weird like alien like fucking serpentine energy or whatever to them. But he's like, I guess, less overexposed than like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or whatever.
Essentially, let me pull this up. So basically, the idea is that in the world now, in the future that we're living in, we can't really know for sure if you're interacting with a person or not. And so one way that you could confirm your identity is through some sort of biometric. And what biometric would this easily be done by? Well, your eye is like super unique and easier to capture than your fingerprint and all this other kind of stuff. So they went and they've been trying to get 1 billion eyeballs traced by this thing or captured by this thing, and in return of capturing your iris, you have like some kind of essentially crypto related passport and ID, and you're also awarded some WLD coins, or
some
tokens,
weird, like meat bucks
or whatever, that are worth a couple
free
of
meat bucks in exchange for biometric data.
They're worth a couple of schmeckles a world buck. So you know, they'll give you a couple of world bucks, you get like 4 world bucks. And so that's the idea, and it's quite strange, and definitely
it's being tested currently, isn't it?
It definitely does sound like a side quest in Cyberpunk. That there would be some mad dude trying to, like, you know, make his own financial system, and he's trying to scan everyone's fucking eyeballs and stuff, and you know, you got to go and stop him, or you got to fuck him up, or you help him, or some other shit. Like, it definitely sounds like a Cyberpunk side quest.
Well, it's being tested, isn't it? Like, in terms of like, it's being rolled out, and people are basically, the incentive to get your biometric data scanned is.
Well, it's been rolled out in it's been rolled out in lots of third world countries because they wanna pump up them numbers. Them's are rookie numbers in terms of getting eyeballs scanned for a long time, and they weren't very successful. A lot of people in the West and in like developed countries are very skeptical and suspicious of this stuff, especially that it's related to cryptocurrency, because that obviously doesn't have the greatest reputation going at the moment. So everyone's been quite skeptical. So they've been trying to roll it out in all these third world countries, and there's already been a whole bunch of scandals involved with that, like how much they've been paying certain, you know, African countries to scan their eyes. Not only that, but then like China actually kind of getting hold of this, or them embracing it in some fashion, and some people embracing it to the point where, you know, they think this is going to be legit and it's going to be the future, so they're paying for the retina scans of like African villages so that they get the scan all together, and then all that money gets like sent back to, or all the world tokens get sent back to this like Chinese oligarch or something who's trying to, like, you know, stake a claim in the potential next future financial system or whatever the fuck. So it's already the way that you're like building it and setting it up is going to make room for people to have that mentality of like, oh shit, this is the new system. I need to like do everything I can to fucking get the best standing possible within this new system. So let me do all this really shady shit, which basically means that now if this is the new system, that there's like, I don't know how many villages in Africa it's like worth of people just like fucking, you know, aren't going to have access to this completely because they've already been manipulated through this you know, Chinese oligarch or whatever. But I think the deal was essentially the world token people were coming around and offering people money to actually do this, and not just like world bits or whatever, because that doesn't mean really shit in, you know, some fucking remote places in Africa, or like in these third world places where they need just to scan eyeballs to actually start, you know, getting the tech tested and getting numbers on the
it's already being rolled out in the West, and a bunch of people have been flocking to get their biometric data scanned by these like evil eyes of fucking Sauron. It literally looks like the fucking evil orb thing from Lord of the Rings. And people are just like, yeah, fucking give it to me. Scan my fucking biometric data. But at the same time,
it looks like Jared Leto would be like caressing it and stroking it in Blade Runner 2044.
Yeah.
You literally,
or it'd be like floating above his head or some shit.
Oh my god. It's like, no, oh my god, that he's got fucking robot eyes, hasn't he?
Like,
so this is literally, this is the little thing that pops up and comes up and then replaces his fucking robot eyes.
Yeah, literally. And people are just willingly, because of FOMO or whatever fucking
it was
herd impulse is leading them, they're getting their biometric data scanned by this thing and getting their little fucking sprinkle of cryptocurrency in exchange.
It was actually designed by an ex-Apple product designer.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Which, when you look at it, You can see that.
You can definitely see it. It has that sleek pod, fucking demonic neoliberal fucking
not pod,
like weird like.
It has a very like well tech designed look to it, where it is kind of half like unsettling.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe people listen to us and think that we're just Luddites that are terrified of technology.
You think so?
We're like these primitive apes that are like, oh my god, look at the shiny metal thing, it's gonna kill us.
It's not gonna kill, but
I think that's a good impulse to have.
But the funny thing is like
I follow my gut.
I've never been someone that has given my biometric data to.
You have if you've been through American immigration.
Okay, Miss Fancy Pants. That was the only exception I was about to fucking make.
Okay,
I have never.
The American government has that shit. Like,
I've never given away my biometric data to anyone that isn't absolutely lawfully required to do so. Yeah. And so when I needed to get my American visa, or if I wanted to enter America, you have to scan your biometrics.
Well, this is like the thing that worries me is the different with the government stuff, whatever. Even that also has potential for tyranny. Don't get me wrong, whatever, blah blah blah. But a private company asking for your biometric data.
Yeah, but this is where you're spooked out wrongly, okay? Because fucking Facebook, Meta, and Apple especially even, already have millions or if not billions of people's biometric data, because people literally use the Face ID to unlock all their devices, or on their laptops, they use the finger thing to unlock their laptop.
Yeah, that's
and that's not even just on Apple and PC, on Apple even, because I've seen Lenovo have a similar thing. It's not like the same. It doesn't look the same. It's like a little finger scanner.
That's true. I was goofy and dumb.
On PC as well?
And I did the fingerprint thing on one of my old iPhones.
But I've never done the fingerprint thing on my iPhone.
You always hated the Antichrist.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I've always thought that this was. I've never talked to Siri. I've never talked to Alexa.
I don't talk to glowies.
I don't talk to cops. Use my fingerprint to unlock my computer, and I don't use my face. I use a password that I type on my big clackety fucking mechanical keyboard, because that's the way the technology should be interfaced with.
I guess so.
Once you start breaking these barriers of course. Your face, this is when you're starting getting a bit too friendly with the machines.
Well, now people are willingly going and like fucking like, fuck me up, daddy, take my biometric data.
But they don't even care. That's the point. They don't even care.
They don't care.
Because it's already gone. It's already happened. And not only that, but I think that
and they just want the free money. You think that that's the thing? They're like, fuck it.
And not just
they're like, fuck it. The basilisk already has my fucking retina.
Not just that. It's a FOMO.
Let me
It's a FOMO where
if you get the free money.
If you had your non-cynical head on, where you would see the people that got early on Bitcoin, some of them were millionaires. They were smart enough and lucky enough to become fucking millionaires, and they never have to work again in their life. If we get in on this Worldcoin thing, and hey, Sam Altman's involved in it, he's got fucking OpenAI money, which are going to be one of the biggest fucking AI companies in the future.
Yeah.
So this has fucking legs.
Well, whether that's true as well, because these tech things are always super inflated. Whether OpenAI could crumble tomorrow.
Well,
the tech world seems to be so fucking
I think OpenAI either is part owned or whatever with Microsoft.
A few other AI companies.
So it's not going anywhere.
That's true, but then again, a few other AI companies. There's like a ranking board of like the different AI companies and the different advancements they make, and there have been a few that have been overtaking OpenAI in terms of like video and a couple of other things. So, I don't like to put too much stock in these, like, because the tech world is so unpredictable, and it's so full of like bluster and lies and bullshit. Like fucking that show Silicon Valley shows you the type of people that are involved in it. Someone like Sam Bankman-Fried, for instance, was like an early investor in fucking Worldcoin and this shit. And like effective altruism is something I wanted to talk about, because I think a lot of people thought that philosophy sort of died along with Sam Bankman-Fried's reputation, but it didn't. Like, this is still the ethos that's driving a lot of the people in the tech world. And it's also kind of the ideology behind this, the idea of like using AI to generate, like a surplus profit that could be then used to give people UBI or like weird like little carrots on the stick like this. Give us your biometric data in exchange for protection and also for, you know, free fucking made up money or whatever the fuck. This concept of effective altruism kind of plays into like the ethos that's leading a lot of people in the tech world. And I guess, would you like to give like a brief explanation of what effective altruism is?
Well,
for people who don't know.
From what I gather, effective altruism is like a philosophy made up by rich people to kind of wash their backs of like any kind of actual guilt or social sort of awareness they might have about their position in life.
Okay, I meant the general definition, not just like you insulting the idea. We get it, it's retarded, like whatever, but in terms of like the general.
But the idea is that like you should put yourself in the best position possible to earn the most amount of money possible, so that you can give away or fund as much sort of like
altruistic
good causes as possible.
It's the idea that the ends justify the means. It's like Dr. fucking Manhattan logic in like fucking.
Well, for me, I think it just falls down in all sorts of sorts of points where that's assuming that you can just pay for things to be better. And what do you mean by like, you know, me not being like you not being a nurse or something is not as good as you being a Wall Street broker, because then you get to spend that money on like charity,
effective causes. But that they calculate using their fucking game theory, autism or whatever.
SBF's fucking effective causes was his fucking pocket.
Yeah,
and
it was his pocket. They use all this like fucking philosophical jargon to justify greed and narcissism and megalomania.
It's utter bullshit.
It's complete bollocks. And one of the things that, you know, one of the utopian dreams that's being sold to people now is the idea that like accelerating artificial intelligence, the acceleration of techno capital in general. Artificial intelligence and techno capital are pretty much the same thing. But like the acceleration of techno capital is actually a good thing, because you know what? It's going to generate all of this like surplus like profit, and we're going to be able to enjoy it in the form of neat bucks that can, you know, allow us to make our fucking noodles in our pots every day and like fucking well, like, that's not how it's sold. It's sold that it will unleash all of this human creativity. So let's just keep accelerating these market forces, because you know what, something amazing is going to come out of it, and it's going to generate, you know, the sort of comfortability that like we've always dreamed of, and the Jetsons' future will finally arrive.
Not only
and
that,
it's like very much tied into this effective altruism thing. Whereas it's just, like you said, a philosophy for rich people not to have to contend with like the contradictions of the current moment, and also the fallout of their like actions. Like,
well, not just that, but I think it's also a fundamental misunderstanding of what work is or why it's valuable to people. Because the effective altruism is to say that from this amazing technology and all this other stuff, we now make so much money that we pay you all after you've scanned your eye, because you're qualified for AI, UBI, and this will give you, exactly that, your Nook Corp bucks.
Yeah,
so
your Nook Corp bucks.
You can get your fucking heated pot and your
Dude, Animal Crossing was trying to fucking prime us for the fucking future, guys.
And your anime fucking fleshlight jiggler or whatever the fuck. And,
like,
and live your life. But the point is that that's not what people want. Like, people don't just fucking work just to, you know, fucking like survive. Yeah, sure, there's an amount of that, but there's also like, you know, people have all sorts of stuff related to their life that is like held up in what they do for work, either for work or what they're aspiring to do or anything. It's like what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to accomplish. And like for you to say like the ultimate goal was for everybody to be on UBI where they don't have to work is inhuman, because that would be to say that no one is striving to do anything.
To accomplish anything
because
good
we're all
in the
actually
world.
fundamentally just like lazy privileged fucks.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, that's very...
like, eat
it's very...
all day.
It's actually very, giving for the people that invented this little fucking idea. It shows where their head's at and what they think of humanity and what they really want.
But what they're really like Sam Bankman-Fried, like literally in his like weird polyamorous fucking cult of freaks, like he fucking, all they did was like play Halo or whatever the fuck all day. Well, isn't that what happened?
League of Legends. Not even a good video
while
game.
using his like investors' money to like prop up bullshit and like lies. Like that's one of the major features of like psychopathy. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he was like on the dark triad spectrum. Like psychopaths, narcissists, people in that dark triad kind of strata tend to want a status and accomplishment without actually having to do any of the work. And everything they do is to basically accomplish that, whether it be manipulating people or manipulating systems in order to get status and respect without having to do any of the fucking work. And like he even fucking as much as admitted it, that all the effective altruism, because after he got caught, he was like in the DMs with some journalist or whatever, and he was basically talking about how the effective altruism stuff was all just like bullshit. He came clean, and he did it in such a callous sociopathic way. He was just like, yeah, it's all just fucking bullshit. Like in the woke West, he said, where we get off on our own delusions of altruism, it's good for the reputation of a figure or a company if they have a squeaky clean image. So he knew exactly what he was doing. It's not that, because they tried to sort of portray it like he was just some misguided kid who was like, bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Like, no, this is like a sociopath. This is a psychopath. This is some sort of dark triad personality. And this current system allows them to proliferate, and also allows them to design systems that harvest money, libido, whatever, from human consciousness. And that's like really terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's also terrifying the rate at which people are willing to fall prey to it. Like even the whole crypto shit, like all the people who like lost money, like last year with this sort of string of scandals, all the people who lost money and whose like lives were like tragically altered because of their, desire to be ahead of the curve, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing with this, like people going and giving their biometric data. But then there's also a subset of people, I guess, who are genuinely concerned that we're entering a new phase where people's identities can be easily stolen and mimicked. And they want a way of proving themselves. Like public figures, I feel like, and celebrities are going to be the first people who have pressure put on them to, get some kind of digital biometric passport identity sort of thing.
Well, do you think would you get one?
I don't trust. I wouldn't because there are lots of perks to falling deeper into the system. For instance, being verified on Twitter, which now everyone can do, allows you to kind of keep away trolls easier. It allows the whole Twitter experience to be a lot more pleasant and less corrosive. Mm-hmm. But the idea of paying every month or getting deeper involved into X, sorry, not Twitter, it's called X now, just makes me feel nauseous, and I just don't want to do it. And it's not that important to me. Like my platform's not that important to me that I'm gonna like get that deeply involved. And if it gets to the point where I have to have my data scanned, my biometric data scanned in order to be a public figure, I would just like probably fade and not do things anymore.
Fair enough.
Like if it got to the point where I was concerned about being mimicked or deep faked or whatever, I think I would just like kind of like fuck it.
Well, it's just the natural next step, It went from contactless to all of a sudden people decided that having it on your phone is like easier because you already got your phone out, right? Because you're already like watching TikToks or something whilst you're paying for something because you're fucking retarded, right?
Device.
Like so
it's your wallet.
You already got your phone out because you're fucking addicted to this shit, and you literally can't walk around just anywhere, or not even like whilst you're paying for something. You probably can't wait in line without looking at your phone. So then you've already got it out, so that's why it's easier. And now instead of that, all you have to do is literally just look up, because then it will just go blink, and then it will fucking bang, you're paid, it's all done.
It's just like how much autonomy and privacy and all of this stuff are you willing to give away?
You haven't got to get a passport stamped or anything. That's so old school. You just got to look at the thing. They know what it is. They know what your file is, what permissions you've got to be where, what visas you've got.
It freaks me out.
So I don't know. It's a way of like simplifying a lot of stuff. Yeah. And then what if they also link that to things like X or Facebook, where they want to eliminate anonymity to the internet and stuff like that to prevent trolling and all these kind of other
it's one of those really difficult things because
antisocial behaviors.
Yeah, there's a lot of
when you sign in on your computer, that computer will no longer be able to operate unless it is connected to the internet and has a camera that can have a certain depth, whatever fucking technology in it to scan your eye in a way that it can validate that you are who you are.
Yeah.
And that then you don't even have to log in or do anything because it's all just right in there with your
that was
your
the
eye.
whole thing behind X's Elon Musk's like failing platform. That was the whole sort of concept behind verification, or sort of trying to force or coerce people into getting verified, was like the idea that anonymity causes issues and blah blah blah. You get better treatment on the platform if you can verify you're a real person. So that's what it's going to be, is the platforms are going to get increasingly more difficult for you to use unless you're
what if it's not
jacked in?
Maybe more difficult to use is the right term, because there'll always be people to find ways around it. But I was watching something the other day.
If it gets to that point, that
was talking about how from Windows 10, only less than 50% of people have upgraded to Windows 11, and that's actually because the hardware that they're running the machine on is not compatible. It doesn't have a good enough chip in it to run the latest operating system. Because there's been chip shortages. Not only that, now there's like financial trouble. No one can fucking afford to buy new computers and whatever the fuck else.
Yeah.
Interest is high, not a good time to get a loan, all these other kind of things.
Yeah.
So fucking now Windows 12, they're trying to roll it out, but only less than half the people are already using the last operating system.
Yeah.
So they're trying to think about, well, what the fuck are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Well, now it's moving everything to the cloud. So your whole desktop, your whole computer is on the cloud. You can access it from your phone. You can access it from anything that has some kind of interface to it. And so the latest computer will run like faster, better, all of the stuff. All you need is an internet connection to get your input and video back to it, and you can run software that's better, faster, all this stuff, because you're using like a fucking hyper machine, because all of these like top crazy fucking cloud computing devices can only be managed and run by the 3 companies that are going to end up in our Blade Runner universe. Microsoft being one of them.
Samsung, I think Samsung
is definitely a contender.
In South Korea, they're basically like the fucking deep state. They're like the shadow government.
But then, dude, if you need to have internet access, you need to log in and have verification for your license and everything for your operating system. It's all like progressing in a way that it could very easily, like maybe not in Windows 12, but maybe Windows 13 or 14. Like they could certainly implicate something like that.
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure you can already unlock your Windows machine with your face or all the other shit that you would do on Apple, because they don't want to be out of features behind anyone else.
Didn't you say also that there's already been scandals with this?
Yeah, though that was the Chinese stuff that I was telling you about. So like they were like,
what more detail? What happened?
They were buying loads of biometric scans of Africans to like
game the system
to get more world tokens.
That's crazy.
So that they would have better standing in the new financial system.
That's crazy. And it makes me sick that Africa is sort of being used as like the guinea pig realm for all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's kind of historically been the case. Yeah. It's really scary and sad. Yeah, it's sad. Hang on, what else have we got in our notes quickly? Yeah, also there's this weird like business model thing where they're trying to incentivize people to go out with these balls of Sauron, Eye of Sauron things, and basically convince other people to...
I don't think that's the model.
Well, that was what it said in the news story.
No, that's what it said on TikTok. But all the other videos I've seen, it's not that. It's like people in malls that are paid by the mall, and it's just like a PR company and
but
stuff.
even then, getting people to be advocates or whatever, to actively go and try to convince people to do this. They obviously have like a chain of people that are attempting to proselytize this. And it goes back to this idea of hacking humans or whatever that you hear a lot of tech bros use. It's another one of those like effective altruism mythologies or whatever. And there's this guy called Yuval Noah Harari. He's the writer of Homo Deus, which is basically like this sort of transhumanist, fucking Bible of our age. We'll probably do an episode where we talk about him because there's like a lot to dig into there. But he basically has been going around saying this thing that humans are hackable animals. And that, like, because of how technology has been able to collect data on us and gain insight into our desires or the flow of desire, which is, I guess, what capitalism is. It's kind of a desire decoding machine in that sense, that humans can be hacked and incentivized down certain paths. And like one of the things that they're talking about, one of the sort of terms that's being mentioned a lot around this is like hacking humans or whatever. And yeah, one of those ways is getting friendly people who look normal and respectable to tell you to do this thing. And then also to fearmonger. Someone might deep fake you. Technology is progressing in this way that you don't understand. And like I could definitely imagine a lot of older people being duped into this.
I think most people who are signing up to it are just doing it out of FOMO at the moment. I don't think anyone's doing it.
But I think it's gonna get more aggressive. I think the marketing is eventually gonna, because even like in the early 2000s and 90s, all the old people who got fooled by like people who would be like, I can take this virus off your computer or whatever, and like creating all these boogeymen that like ended up not really being frightening in order to kind of garner profit. So I can see that being a way that it's going to end up being used as well. But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine comfortably going and doing that, giving your biometric data to like a private company like that.
Well, as I said, billions of people have done that because of Apple.
I guess,
other devices,
but, I mean,
so
willingly.
It really doesn't. Yeah, they've willingly done that. They've willingly gone. I can't be asked to just type my password anymore, so I just want to look at my phone and it unlocks.
I don't think that's like what's in people's head. I don't think it's
yes,
like a conscious
it is.
thought.
Yes,
I think
it
it's
is.
More, this is an easier and convenient way for me to unlock my iPhone.
So they just give away the biometric data just like that.
No, I don't think people are thinking that deeply about it. Is what I'm saying. Whereas this is literally
when it asks
upfront.
you to scan your finger, they won't think about that.
People aren't thinking about it that deeply. What I'm saying is this is upfront saying, hey, we are taking your biometric data. Whereas that is like posing itself as a more convenient way to unlock your iPhone. They're not coming at you with, hey, we're collecting biometric data like in a fucking weird like fucking cyberpunk corpo way, are they? But so it's a different thing.
Nah, it's just because the world orb looks creepy. Your iPhone doesn't look as creepy as the world orb.
I think they both look creepy. I think it's all demonic. It all looks demonic. But speaking of demons or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I'm joking. We got to talk about the UFO hearing that happened this week that no one gave a shit about. The flaccid response was just so fucking funny to me. I thought it was hilarious.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah. If I don't say so. It's like I can't believe that no one is talking about it outside of American news, especially.
I can believe it. I think that like people are concerned with their day-to-day and nothing compelling enough to warrant pause has been released.
I guess not yet. I guess it's more
which is
just,
why people don't give a shit.
It's not,
and they keep hyping this shit up.
I guess it's more just
and it's sus
what has
and
happened.
It's fucking bullshit.
Okay, well I guess it's more just like what's being said by who in what settings, right?
No one cares.
So now, like
about
on
what
the
some
record, like
military
officials,
glowy has to say in fucking Congress.
Angie,
it's like they're like, listen. We've got the crafts and like, we've got this, we like...
He's not the first person to even say this.
We have suspicion that this blah, 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 blah. Show us the fucking evidence, okay? I think that that's really what people are waiting for. People are waiting to see something that will actually, not just hearsay or fucking whistleblowers. And until then, nobody gives a shit. The real people who give a shit about this are literally like the fucking people who are super invested in this line of inquiry, the journalists that have been surrounding it for decades, blah, blah, blah. And then also like people who think it's like gonna save the world. There's a large contingency of people who believe that the government are hiding. Well, let me finish before you get too excited. There's a large constituency of people who believe that the government has been hiding the kind of alien technology that could like bring us to utopia, and like that could solve climate change, solve the energy crisis, 0 point energy, Star Trek reality, blah, 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 blah. And that like we need to force disclosure in order to have this like apotheosis. So it has a lot of weird culty beliefs around it.
Well, it's not culty.
Yeah, it is culty.
Because that's the thing. Is like
because like we don't know anything, and nothing about what's being said paints an accurate picture.
Okay, well, all the claims that David Grush has made, big if true. Right?
Yeah, big if true.
If true.
That's okay.
And the thing
like,
is that the implications of that big if true are very far reaching, and they are quite substantial. Mm-hmm. And that does include very, reality shifting technologies.
Yeah, but I think people are like really...
And if out of all the people in this space, we've mentioned them a few times, and I'm still not fully sure how much to really believe someone like Stephen Greer. Okay. But his last documentary was about
here we go.
All the technology that has been suppressed by the US government that is parallel to a lot of the UFO stuff. Mm-hmm. And so even like, it could change the total face of the world.
No, I think that you like want to believe, which is the reason why you don't see how transparently bullshit this
bullshit.
Yeah, I think it was completely transparently bullshit. I mean, if there's like, I feel like
how is it transparently bullshit?
I feel like part of the reason that it's being done now is because they're trying to cement the idea that there's like some kind of nebulous threat, because that was one of the major things that was highlighted in the hearing, was the idea that it's a possible threat to national security.
At the end, it definitely did get very direct.
There's a lot of
specific things that they wanted people to say is dangerous or is that using that language, which is kind of worrying.
And having that kind of language used by quote unquote credible experts in fucking the Senate or whatever the fuck at this hearing, has all kinds of legislative implications.
But that's why I wanted to...
Which is why I think this is happening.
But that's why I think it's an interesting topic, because like I think that probably a large amount of what is being talked about so far, that we all want the juicy evidence, and we want those fucking 4K videos and all that great stuff, and I actually have a small, like maybe I'll eat my words on this, but I have a small amount of faith that those videos are actually going to come out sooner than you think.
I think you're crazy. I don't think we're going to see shit.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see shit. I think
that if it's all fucking legit, bro, that those videos are on their way, and it's going to be fucking soon.
Oh my god, no,
and it's going to be fucking soon.
No, it's not. It's not. They're not going to tell us shit. They're just like sort of like trying to create paranoia, hysteria.
But what I was trying to say
military budget fucking.
But what I was trying to say is, if it's true, even if it's true,
pinching me?
Because you keep talking over me.
No, it's because you're mad that I'm like busting your bubble. That's
because you keep talking over me, and you don't let me. You don't let me put my very rational points about this crazy topic.
All right. Okay. All right.
Across.
I'll relax.
Okay. We all know that there's a high chance, like everyone's, like your reaction is the normal reaction.
Which is what?
Oh, I don't believe it. It's all fucking bullshit.
Well, I think everybody is also kind of slightly embarrassed because, like, we're in a time where grown adults are speculating about like aliens.
That's stupid.
This is the first time.
Why would you want to live in a world where everything is put to bed? That is the most boring shit ever.
I don't agree with that. But I think the underlying reason that this topic causes such discomfort for people is because it is something that's been ridiculed for since time immemorial, since it
part
was
of
a
the
concept.
psyop.
And all right, calm down. Calm down, Jakey, man. Jesus Christ. It's something that's been ridiculed, and nobody wants to, despite the mounting, quote unquote, compelling accounts, nobody wants to say that they are all the way in and then be wrong and end up looking like an idiot, basically.
Of course not. But I think there are lots of different cases where there are, there's enough, like, quality.
There's a lot of compelling information.
Personal, like,
I know,
retellings of stories and stuff.
It's not enough to actually get the wider population stimulated and interested in the topic.
I appreciate that.
I think the only thing that would do that is like if
proper legit crazy videos.
Legit fucking shit. Like not grainy fucking shit or whatever the fuck. Like I want to see the fucking reverse engineered technology. I don't want some fucking alien looking guy sitting in
that's part
some
of,
fucking
that's
Congress
part,
hearing
that's
telling me he heard somewhere. He said that he had 40 accounts or some shit that he felt were credible, and that he had privately disclosed who those individuals were, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. That's not enough compelling evidence to
I know, but
warrant mass public
look, playing
attention over this.
Playing the game and just fucking trying to justify the way in which things are being done at the moment is that David Grush is a fucking Boy Scout. He's a little fucking, goody two shoes. He's been going up through the ranks of fucking government and the naval intelligence and all this stuff.
Don't tell me that you've fallen in love with a fucking glowy.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Angie. What I'm saying is he's a fucking goody two shoes. And he wants to do everything completely fucking by the book. And so that's why, like, he said as much as he can in the hearings and the interviews and stuff that he's done, but he's also put all the information in what he has known as the best way possible through being super involved in all the investigatory process of all of this stuff since the fucking UAP task force and all this shit from a few years ago. So, like, he's just trying to follow it the best way possible. I think that he's not the only person that has come forward with the kind of claims that he's got, and that what has been kind of the rustling and the rumors I've been hearing amongst the UFO community.
Oh, here we go.
is that these other people, there's about probably 6 other people like David Grush that have the kind of claims that he has, and that if action isn't actually taken upon soon with this stuff, that they are gonna just fucking expose it.
Dude, I think this is all like another one of these weird apotheosis ascension psyops that seems to have colonized the culture. Everyone seems to think we're on the tip of doomsday, of revelation, of disclosure. And all the people in the UFO community, most of whom there's sort of an overlap between UFO enthusiasts and environmentalist enthusiasts. Because a lot of those people also think that the revelation of alien technology is going to bring about utopia on Earth. Every single fucking sect currently thinks that
it's like hidden technology.
That there's some secret red pill, or there's some secret this or that's going to help us ascend to some higher and more perfected reality. And I just see this as yet another one of those narratives that has like infested the culture. Why it's being instrumentalized currently by the powers that be, I have no idea. I don't think anyone knows why. It's bizarre, quite frankly, that this is now being brought to the table, especially something as paradigm shifting as the potential existence of like other beings that have an influence on our world, in such a way that doesn't provide any evidence at all with that. You can't drop that and then not show us fucking pictures of the little green guys. Like,
well,
that's kind of my thing. So until that
evidence comes out,
I don't think it's necessarily even worth getting sucked into the content rabbit hole around UFOs either, because a lot of these people are profiting from that feeling in the air currently of apocalypse, of impending revelation, impending this. Everyone's like on the edge of their seats. The crypto bros are waiting for the fucking line to go up and like fucking, and then their payday will come that will save them from neatdom or whatever the fuck. everybody's waiting for that one like big thing, or that it's just, I don't know. And I feel like there are a lot of people who are taking advantage of that currently and sucking people down.
Well, do you feel like
bad rabbit holes?
That is like the way that the media is supposed to try to make everyone feel, no matter what.
Yeah.
You want, no matter what, like you're interested or not interested in, is that things are ramping up to something.
Yeah, things are ramping up to something. It's
a culminating
thing. And that's what keeps people engaged and glued. And the thing is, I'm not shaming people for their interests. Like, there's nothing wrong with having interests or being enthusiastic about certain things. But you have to be very mindful these days about how you engage with those things, because there's so much that's looking to just suck your attention and drain your like fucking libido, your resources, and this and that, blah 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 blah. And like, it's important to sort of like not get inculcated in that pipeline, and to also have multiple lines of inquiry and interest. A lot of these UFO fucking people don't sleep. Every 5 minutes, they're dropping a video. It's here, guys. It's almost here. It's coming. And it's like, dude, do you sleep? Like, what the fuck? Like, and it's just like a content pipeline, like content mill, a narrative. And like, it's narrative building, narrative construction that's like very compelling. Or whatever.
I don't know, mate. I've been piecing together various stories from.
I'm not saying that there isn't credence to,
and I feel like
a lot of what's going on in terms of like people finding and piecing together the fact that there is really a strange phenomenon going on, and one that we don't know a whole lot about, blah 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 blah.
Well, I think that we do know a whole lot more than we're letting on to.
Yeah, that may be true too, but in terms of like these hearings and whistleblowers and narratives that are like kind of proliferating in the media, I don't have a whole lot of faith in them.
No,
in the same way, I don't have a whole lot of faith in any kind of media or news hype thing that's like going on.
I think Bob Lazar is going to be vindicated, and
oh my god,
it's going to be a glorious moment. And I feel like I want to throw a party for Bob Lazar in London when he is vindicated.
Oh my god!
So that.
Oh my god!
We can all celebrate that together.
Oh my god!
Like I feel like that is going to be.
Wait. What location? Which one of the fabulous locations in London would you want to throw this party for Bob Lazar? Well, if you could choose any venue to do it in,
if I could choose any venue to do it, I guess I would do it in Rendlesham Forest if I could do it anywhere.
No, because I said London specifically.
I know, if it has to be in London, then like
specifically limited to London and all the venues. The Old Bailey would be cool.
Maybe, or
Big Ben.
Big Ben?
Yeah.
Why would I do a Big Ben?
I don't know. Just fucking cool vibes, man.
fuck that. I don't know. There's no real like UFO kind of like hotspot in London.
The Etherius Society Temple. Are you kidding?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna take Bobby there.
Why
like,
not?
It's too much.
Having a party at the fucking Etherius Society.
He's
Temple
a scientist. He's not gonna be interested in talking with those people.
Oh well. It's not about talking to them. It's about the fact that those people would be fun at a party.
The thing is,
that's the point.
I want the idea
to party with the schizos.
I want the idea to be cool enough so that if he actually heard about it, that he might actually come. And then if I feel like if I hosted at the Etherius Society, all he has to do is Google that and be like, "Oh no, dude, no, you blew it. I'm not fucking going there." You're just like, "Oh fuck."
They've been integral in the whole UFO thing in this country.
Who, the Etherius Society?
In terms of following the through line from Rendlesham Forest and all of that shit. They were the first ones there. I've like been studying and like reading about them recently, and they've like had a huge hand in a lot of the
they are definitely
narrative
like
building around this stuff.
They're definitely like the Stephen Greer kind of level people in the UK, where they kind of are on that sort of like consciousness communication vibe with aliens through meditation and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Demi Lovato said she does that too in the Nevada desert.
Yeah.
If Demi Lovato gets it, then like, why don't you? Jesus. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like a whole lot of narrative building going on, and you have to be careful about like the narratives that you're swallowing. Yes, some strange shit is going on, like that we know for sure.
Plus, if they
but exactly what it is,
if they've got stuff that can zip about like that, what a big waste it is. I've seen all those new pictures of the rockets they're building for NASA, for like the new venture to the moon and the new stuff that they're doing.
But they're trying to go to the moon again.
Yeah, of course.
If you believe, I'm kidding.
Well, China is going to the moon, and they want to set up a base there.
So America's like, we gotta beat them to it.
Yeah, that.
So what we're doing AI, we're doing AI arms race and space race 2.0 again. Mm-hmm. What is wrong with humanity? Like, why do we behave like this?
The difference is like, we've all got way more nukes this time.
Yeah. I just, oh my God.
The difference is we've all got way more nukes this time, and we all kind of like live in a social media culture. So it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
No matter what happens. That's why I kind of want aliens to just come, and it just kind of like gets rid of all of that.
That's the reason why do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the reason why like we are we're like on the edge right now, and we're just looking for any source of meaning to orient us. And that's the thing, is when you study like the philosophies of the ultra elite, things like effective altruism, blah blah blah, you see their kind of haphazard attempts to feel like they have meaning and purpose,
and it's all bullshit, and just that to hold on to all their money and shit.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
It's all this shit they've conjured up in order to justify like their own adherence to a sociopathic, psychopathic system, to techno-capitalism. And I feel like the reason why is because like they're in their mind, they're like, it's futile to wrestle against techno-capitalism. Just lean into it. Like, people like us to them are like a joke. We're idiots. Like, we're like how could you criticize the state of nature like that? What movie is that from, where he's like fucking yelling about the forces of nature, the big businessman guy, and he's like, you've messed with the forces of nature?
Oh, isn't it in like Newsroom?
Yeah, something like that. It's that kind of energy where it's like people like us are dumb because like it's like you're like a little ant and you're going up against like the basilisk or whatever, and instead of being smart and like aligning yourself with the basilisk so that you can like get the protection and like, you know, it's like the whole cipher from the Matrix thing or whatever.
I know it's fake, but it tastes so good.
It's disturbing to me, that kind of consciousness, though. I can't understand it. Like the desire to lean into the worst features of a thing that you probably intuitively understand is wrong, but then be like, it's fine because I'm like going to create all this crazy shit to like justify doing that.
They don't do any of that. They just line their pockets instead. Like, he didn't do any of the stuff he was talking about. Like, they're talking about him.
How do you
making
invent
like
an entire philosophy?
They're talking
like
about him being like
bullshit. Is what I'm saying.
They're talking about him fucking playing around with billions of dollars, and they're like, oh, he did put $100 million in an altruistic fund. And you're like, you're talking about two vastly different scales of numbers there. You're just talking about $100 million versus him having billions of dollars and claiming he's going to give all of his money away in this kind of like $26 billion or something he said he was going to give away. It ended up only being 100 million.
Yeah.
Like, that is a very, very vastly different fucking scale.
Yeah. That whole tech scene, they're just crazy. They're insane. Like, hearing story about his like weird commune in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. And apparently this is actually quite common in these sort of weird tech think tanks, for them to all be like
start bumming each other.
Yeah, to all be like polyamorous and living in this like weird, disgusting flop house.
And they've all got their chigu pots.
Yeah. I'm like, is this what is like ruling us? Is this like the because obviously the domain of power has now shifted to tech, and like the types of personalities that are attracted to that world are the types of people who want control in that way. And like, even thinking about like the conventions of social media and stuff, like something like Facebook evolved out of like Mark Zuckerberg's Harvard hot or not list.
Yeah.
Like, we're living in the psychology of these people. We're living in the psychology of like,
I remember my brother showed me that website.
Literal antisocial freaks.
My brother showed me that website when he was back from the army once.
Really? Was it still up?
I think it was before Facebook came around. It was like the year before Facebook came around. And then the year that Facebook came around, he had a Facebook account. And it's just like, you can't have this. You're too small for this.
Oh, really?
It's just like, oh, am I? But I want to play Farmville. That doesn't look like it's kind of your age group. That looks like it's kind of for me.
For me, yeah. I remember Farmville. That was fun. That was a fun time.
But yeah, aliens are real. it's all going to come out. There's going to be crazy videos, and we're all going to be saved, and it's going to be a good time. You got to think positively.
I think that's crazy. I think everybody's doing cope the same way these like billionaires are doing cope with their like weird cult philosophy of like, oh, we're just doing a little bit of effective altruism.
Maybe the aliens will reveal themselves.
The system's not that bad. If we accelerate the system, it will like give everyone UBI neat bucks. Like that's them doing cope, and then the alien cult people are doing cope by being like, oh guys, don't worry, we're gonna uncover secret alien technology that's gonna fucking solve all our problems. 0 point energy, fucking free things for all. Like everyone has this like idea that they're on the precipice of like something that's gonna change everything in this like way that's gonna like magically solve all our problems. Look, and it just sounds like religious like delusion to
maybe
me.
The aliens will reveal themselves and it will crash the housing market and I'll be able to like live a normal life. Otherwise, you know, the canal boat life is coming.
Yeah.
That's just like reality.
Canal boat nomadism is something that we've been wanting to try for a while.
I'm gonna have to Walden it, semi-Walden it in the boat.
I think we should call the boat Walden.
It is bad luck to rename your boat. So unless we're going to commission a brand new boat, I'm not doing that.
Really? People don't rename the canal boats when they buy them?
I'm sure they do, but it's a sailor's tradition apparently.
Or I don't give a shit about that.
Some shit like this.
Fuck tradition.
Some shit like this.
If I'm buying the boat, I should be able to fucking rename it. I don't give a shit about that.
It's bad.
We had two
juju.
names because Jake really is obsessed with Tom Bombadil. So he wanted to call it the Bombadil Barge. Which I thought sounds silly because it's not really a barge. Like if you look at the canal boats,
it could be a Dutch barge. You don't know.
It's not really a barge though, so I don't think you should call it a
Dutch barge. Is a canal boat type.
Not really.
It is. That is an actual boat type.
Is it really?
It is a canal boat. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Bombadil barge might work, but I kind of like the Walden better. I think that's cute. If we did get one, I feel like we would get one. And then we would be like, this was a terrible idea and get bored and then sell it. And then fucking sell it. But I don't know, it's just something...
And what, live in a travelling? Live in a travel lodge?
It's just something that we've been wanting to do for a long time, is like kind of escape the rent trap of London by getting a canal boat. Because like, it looks like such a whimsical, adventurous way of life.
Well, it's just a way to like, you know, not be renting and not also buy like a really shitty looking house.
Yeah. I don't want to buy a fucking new build in Milton Keynes. Like that's not happening.
Why would they build all those houses that look so ugly and don't work as well? Like why?
Did your friend buy a new build and like had to pay?
His boiler didn't work and the radiators didn't work. Like all sorts of shit didn't work in a new build where like everything's brand new. It's like, how do you fuck that up?
How much did he have to pay before they could live properly?
I think like at least another 20 grand.
Are you serious? Yeah. 20 grand?
Something like that, or like 10 grand or some shit.
No, that's a huge difference, dude.
To like fix the boiler and all sorts of shit. Like
that's fucking crazy. That's insane. I don't know. I don't know. I want like, I do feel like soon, and I hate to say it, people will have to start thinking about like alternatives in terms of like lifestyles and things like that. As much as people,
that's why all the like tiny house shit is so popular.
But that's gonna make people vulnerable to cults, which is why I think we're in the age of cults, and things are opening up in this really crazy way that people aren't really prepared to deal with.
And that's why you should join the Discord. Okay, it's only $2 a month.
We're not
and
a cult.
Then you're
actually we are a little bit.
The location of the land when we get it will be disclosed in the Discord. Yeah, but you can only come and join if you're a regular member.
We're a benevolent cult leaders.
It's like the
we won't like demand too much of you.
It's like the cult tax.
Only human sacrifice once in a while.
It's like the cult tax.
But that's what I'm saying is like alternatives are going to have to be, especially like if they're rolling out this like dystopian technocratic retina scanning system, and like it will make it really difficult for you to get on if you're not part of this like fucking bullshit. People are going to have to find ways to exist outside of like whatever mass formation is happening right now.
Yeah.
But then that people see that and they're like, yeah. But no, that's also going to leave people vulnerable to cults, because there's going to be a lot of people. But then out of that will come
a lot of interesting culture. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's an optimistic way to look at it, sure. But then a lot of damage too, like Leslie, what's her name, Leslie Van Houten, one of the Manson family murderers, was recently released from California prison after serving a hefty sentence for being part of the Tate LaBianca murders.
Mm-hmm.
And I want her to fucking write a book about her fucking experience being brainwashed by a cult. Because I think a lot of people think that that could never happen to them, or that, you know, we're so secular and scientific and reasonable now that those impulses are only for the desperate and the crazy. Well, but the thing is, everybody's desperate and crazy
what
now.
We're talking about, Angie, is making a new world, yeah? And in order to make an omelette, you gotta break some eggs.
But I don't like that. It's the same accelerationist bullshit of like the fucking
it's not
billionaire
It's trying
class.
to strive to actually do something else instead of being like, oh, this more of the same is fine as long as it benefits me.
I'm not saying more of the same is fine as long as it benefits me. I'm saying it's sad that we now have that our culture is so toxic and so fucked up, and it makes people so bereft that now, you know, a million splintered cults is now the kind of alternative.
Yeah.
I think that that's pretty sad. Like, people should be able to have at least some baseline of security and sanity in the mainstream culture. And when that isn't provided, then like people become vulnerable to cults. And that's the thing. People are going to start searching for alternatives outside of the system. And some will find great things. Some will be able to build things that are really interesting. Like I said, of course, a lot of creativity and innovation will come out of that. But then also a lot of like, you know,
I feel like I need to start a cult. Because it'll be the good one.
Is that true now? You've got the beard for it.
Yeah, I'll start
like
the good.
hat.
I'll start the good cult, like the one that actually works.
What would the features of this good cult be?
That you've all just got to like get along and be chill and not get in each other's business too much.
Is that literally it?
Yeah, and we've all got
get in each other's business.
We've all got to cook. We've all got to pitch in to cook dinner together.
Is that it?
And that's how you bond.
If only cohesive communities were formed. If cohesive communities were formed on principles as basic as that, then we wouldn't be in the mess we are now. It takes a lot more to bind people together. And that's why cults are so dangerous, is because they usually attempt to bind people together in really flimsy, unsustainable ways.
We do have the nipple twisting ceremony on the Monday night.
That's your like ritual to like bind the group together.
Yeah, we all sit in a circle
and twist
each other's nipples like this.
I don't know, man. You're not selling it well. You got to sell it better.
And you have to reach across the circle and like jack the other person off with your feet. God. As you're like grabbing the other two people's nipples.
Oh my God.
So you're having like this huge orgy of like all these people.
A nipple twisting and like foot jacking off orgy.
Yeah.
You think that that's enough to bond people together?
Mate, it's like the most kind of clean version of Jeffrey Epstein that you could imagine. Do you know what I mean?
So you've all committed this hideous, heinous thing.
Yeah, and now you're in it together.
And now you're in it together.
Yeah,
you're bonded.
But there's no children that's been harmed and like no one's been trafficked. So I feel like that's the best, cleanest way that you could do it. And no one's been sodomized. Everyone's just had a little handy job with the feet and the nipples twisted a bit. Everyone's embarrassed, but you know, it's nothing illegal. It's nothing that's gonna...
Jake, your cult sounds awful and I don't want to join. I don't want to be a part of it.
No, it's great because then we're all buds for life and we all like hang out and like do whatever. We play like video games. You
better not cross me because I'll tell everyone about that time where you jacked me off with your foot.
Yeah, exactly.
And twisted my nipple.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Is that how like fraternities and like Skull and Bones are formed?
Yeah.
That is something that is kind of archetypal and human, the idea of like rituals that bind groups together.
That's what you have to do.
And it usually entails some form of human sacrifice or scapegoating another human being.
We do the nipple twisting ceremony whilst we're
committing
on acid.
Some kind of heinous thing in order to fucking get dirt on each other. Like,
you do the nipple twisting ceremony whilst you're on acid.
I don't know. And then I wouldn't want the responsibility of running a cult, to be honest. Like, I'm too schizoid and like too...
And then me...
Like, I don't like people in my space, all up in my space that much. So the idea of being responsible for people who are coming to me for counsel and guidance and who view me as like an authority, that would stress me out like so much. Like, I would hate it.
And then what happens is the first person who comes I get a big sack and I capture them and I take them outside and I beat them.
I love how you're like not opposed to having.
You gotta get all the ingredients in there. So you gotta get them. They're all on acid. They've drunk on the Kool-Aid. They're all on acid.
Yeah.
They're twisting each other's nipples. They're jacking each other off with their feet. And then with the first person to come, they get dragged out in a sack and beaten.
Oh my gosh.
Then everyone's going to conform. Everyone's going to see me as some sort of like neo-Jesus, and it's going to...
He's got the Manson beard, he's got the Manson hair, he's got the Manson eyes. Like...
It's going to be great. And we will just literally spend all of our day we're like monks. We're just cultivating this amazing crop of weed. But in the evenings, that's what happens.
The Rasputin shenanigans occur.
Things like that happen.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't know. If I had to have a cult, I don't know.
What would you do? What would your initiation be? Would it be as thorough as mine?
It would be like Om Shinrikyo. There'd be all kinds of mad shit, like flying yoga. You know, the yoga where they're not actually flying, they're just like bouncing their butts on the floor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And there'd be all kinds of head devices.
Oh, God.
And like weird crystals. Like I would go full on like schizo with it. Like,
oh my God.
I'd have like a really whacked out like 2002 web page as well for my cult. Like I would remember that one we found, the really weird rainbow.
That's the Heaven's Gate one.
Was it the Heaven's Gate one?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was a different cult.
It is.
It was a different UFO cult. It wasn't.
I almost guarantee you it is.
It wasn't Heaven's Gate.
Because there's some people that are still upholding
Marshall Applewhite.
that website, I believe.
That guy, his eyes freak me out like a lot. Like Heaven's Gate is one of the scarier like.
I definitely saw that.
Ascension cults out there.
That some people from the cult that had left were still like maintaining. Yeah, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Heavensgate.com.
This stuff scares me.
And it is this one.
Can people see? Can people see?
No, let me pull it up.
It scares me that this kind of stuff traps
Voila,
people.
mate, this looks like my Bebo page.
Oh my God. Bebo.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually Heaven's Gate. It was a different one. It had like an alien or like some kind of like alien on it, and it was like lots of rainbow shit, but it was similar, this sort of interface. There are lots of these like weird cult websites from like back in the day or whatever. Their aesthetics are like chef's kiss. Why is it still up?
Hale Bop. What's Hale Bop?
The Hale Bop comet.
Hale Bop comet.
That was what they believed was coming, and that they needed to commit. Like,
to be fair, I used Marshall
like,
Applewhite as a sick drop in a deep house track where he was talking about this. He was saying like, "We're about to be recycled." He was being like super fucking creepy.
But this is what scares me now. Is like this shit is mainstream. Because half of the journalists who are kind of invested in this UFO stuff are true believers in this kind of ascension paradigm. And they think that if they just get to disclosure, everything's going to change. And, you know, it's like, you know, the seeds of this stuff were kind of planted in this era. And they're now sort of, I feel like they're like about to come to fruition in this really weird way.
Look how long this speech is, dude.
I don't want to read that.
That's insane.
TLDR, mate. That's crazy.
That's a lot. We should train an AI on Heaven's Gate.
This
material.
Website has like satanic energy. It has
and
like
then
demonic energy.
see what kind of fiction it writes.
Interesting project. That'd be an interesting. Just feed an AI like cult material.
Yeah.
And like fucking see if it can generate you some interesting religion.
Yeah.
Cult that you can then go and push.
Yeah.
Like L. Ron Hubbard.
And I can do my nipple twisting ceremony.
I don't know why, because that's the thing that freaks me out about someone like L. Ron Hubbard. I was talking about it in the Discord earlier, is the fact that he was interested in psychology and the sort of mechanisms of the human mind. He studied comparative religion. He was a pretty like learned guy. And he understood the mechanisms of what made belief systems universal, what made them work, what made them kind of have a place in the collective unconscious. And instead of him to be like, oh, wow, how beautiful, look at how this showcases the university of like human consciousness. he then was like, no, I'm going to use this to make a religion. Now I know, like, this idea of hackable animals that Yuval Noah Harari guy is always going on about. This is the mentality of these people. They view us like dummies.
Yeah.
And to an extent, if you're unconscious of yourself, if you haven't done the work to become conscious of yourself, to individuate, you kind of are. You kind of are vulnerable to fucking this sort of puppetry. And, like, I feel like why now more than ever, you must do your internal work. You must get in contact with your sense of self. You need to have confidence. Like, you do have to have self-esteem. Like, it's the number one ingredient. Like, you have to kind of get right with yourself. Because if you don't, you're way more vulnerable to manipulation. And there are people out there who, like, want to manipulate you and are fucking happy to do it and have no qualms about doing it. And the more vulnerable you are, the more of an asset you are to them. You know? And, like, it's only getting worse now with, like, the advent of the internet. These people now have way more access to our consciousness, way more control over our drives. Like, the reason they want to harvest our biometric data, you know, our general data, all of this stuff is so that they can get more of an accurate picture of our drives, so they can market to us, so that they can, you know, slot us into a demographic, so that they can turn us into a very niche kind of consumer or whatever. And, like, the more you individuate, the less susceptible you are to that flow of, like, techno capital, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or just, you know, get your eye scanned and join the new world and open Windows 13 with your dick. Like, you know, you just have to put your dick
as soon as you get erect
into the machine.
It knows that you're there.
You put your dick into the machine. This is like, oh, Jake, you're recognized.
You're very much recognized.
And you just, like,
you cook your meal in the fucking
and then
USB
it like pops like a fucking Apple Vision Pro fucking headset on you, like a fucking next level VR headset on you, and you're just like wham in fucking spatial VR computing with your dick jacked in.
Just ready to go.
Ready to experience life in this modern way.
Oh my
in this
God.
modern age.
I don't know what's happening anymore. It's crazy to me, but I'm also scared about the converse, because, like, a lot of people are like, oh, if you don't like Babylon, just, like, leave it. And I'm like, well, what happened to the Israelites once they left Egypt? They had their big party, didn't they? And they were like, all fucking like, yeah, fuck Pharaoh. That motherfucker got swallowed by the fucking sea. But then when they get to the desert, what do? They start doing cults and start fucking up and start behaving badly and start, like, you know, just because you get out of the bad place doesn't mean that automatically heaven awaits at the other side. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Being naughty.
Like, I feel like even if people decide they want to try alternative lifestyles in a real meaningful way, not just like, I'm alternative because I'm LGBT, blah, 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 or non-binary or whatever other identity is like a placeholder for a real desire to try an alternative lifestyle. I think a lot of people in the coming years are going to be seriously trying to pursue living alternatively, especially as this stuff ramps up. Especially as more people in our generation have kids and they start becoming worried for the sort of lifestyle that their kids are going to have. Like, before I didn't really care, but then when I started thinking seriously about the prospect of having a child, I'm now thinking a lot seriously about what kind of community am I going to bring that child into? What kind of values? Do I want them going to school with a bunch of iPad babies? Even a lot of the shit that they're teaching on the curriculum these days, is that stuff that I want my fucking kid imbibing? Like, do I want them to be automatically jacked into this world of technological accelerationism, or do I want them to have a childhood? And in the way things are going, this stuff is really interrupting childhood.
I think that...
And, like, that's the one thing that would drive me to try and seek a community outside of this. The comfort of knowing that I would have... my kid would have kids that they could play with and be around who had parents who shared similar values.
It's just simple. Instead of, like, teaching them to, like, play an instrument or do sports or anything like that. You just like get them into making content as early as possible.
Oh my god!
So they can be their generation's Logan Paul or whatever
god.
the fuck, and then just be dunking on everybody else.
Is that the goal now?
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's
if you're
the thing is,
if you're not dunking on everyone,
that's the one thing that
winning?
would really drive me to try and pursue seeking an alternative community is like having children. Like that's like the one thing that would really push me to it.
All right, let's have a little look at the chat, and then let's call it a day because I've got to fucking wake up early for tomorrow. What are we saying? What's up, truthers? What's up, Sid?
Truthers.
Absolute champ. Chad. Warwick Castle is nice. Went earlier this year. There we go.
Oh, lovely. Did you get to see jousting there?
I don't know. I don't think they do that every day. I think that's just like a special thing.
It's just a special thing for us because we're special.
I think so. J. Jaws, Idiocracy was a documentary. Oh, mate, that's such a classic. I love that film.
I hate the Antichrist. Same here, brother.
That sounds like Angie. Patti Smith voice, free money, puts eyeballs in the Antichrist machine. Oh dear.
I don't know who would put their eyeballs in the Antichrist machine, like, willingly.
I'm rooting for China. Guillaume, that's the most cucked thing I've heard all night. Okay, I just wanna say that.
I'm not rooting for anyone. I'm not rooting for any of the major like accelerationist powers, not the West or China's CCP. Like, I'm rooting for the people. That's who I'm rooting for.
I don't want revenge of the nerds, but I also don't want revenge of the Chads. I want revenge of the normal kids in high school. Well, yeah.
Yeah, same here, to be honest.
But you know what? Those normal kids don't succeed. 'Cause you gotta either be physically fucking dominating or intellectually dominating to stand a chance at competing in this fucking human world.
Yeah.
Sonny Jim.
Yeah.
So
basically.
no normal kids, you can fucking suck a chode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what life teaches you.
That is what life teaches you. You're either like a sociopathic Chad or like a resentful incel that wants to like drag humanity into some dystopian technological age.
What tier of the Patreon is all this included in? I think he was talking about my my nipple.
Oh, your nipple twisting
ceremony.
Well, you gotta subscribe to find out.
If we get the Patreon to £100,000 a month, we will perform the biggest nipple twisting ceremony you've ever seen in your life.
Not just that, we'll actually start a cult if it gets that big.
Yeah, 100%. You'll actually be able to come and sit on and put a tent on my garden.
Yeah, on our lawn.
In my manor.
Yeah, yeah.
In my stately
Jake
home.
Manor, in our stately home. We'll let you pitch a tent up.
I don't know. I feel like,
and we'll occasionally bring you like tea and a biscuit.
This is how I'm going to end the stream. Okay, everybody feels like they would be Danny McBride in This Is the End at the end of the world. Okay, but in real talk, they're probably more like Michael Cera.
Yeah,
okay,
it's true. That's very true.
Like, everybody thinks they're going to have Channing Tatum on the end of their fucking leash of like a BDSM looking fucking cult. But really, you're going to be the twinked out fucking guy looking for cocaine.
Yeah, you are.
Because you're sad about everything
going.
And
then you're going to die in a really stupid, embarrassing way.
Clumsy fucking way.
In front of everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
In a really embarrassing, pathetic way.
So let's just be real about it. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know. I'm more looking. I don't know. I think trying to find like-minded people is important. Trying to find some semblance of community is important, but trying to find it with people who are stable and like individuated, I think, is the most important thing. Like, trying to look for identity in any kind of mass thing or thought leader led thing is a path to disaster. And celebrities are vulnerable to it as well. Like, look at David Lynch and his fucking transcendental meditation fucking cult thing. We just watched a video about that today.
Look at Larry David doing FTX commercials, you know?
What, he did? He fucking did
Larry David did an FTX commercial.
Wow.
Yep, my boy Larry. I have a big love for Larry David. I was quite sad to see him do that, but you know, he did do that.
Everyone's susceptible to, you know, falling prey to predatory ideologies. and predatory hype. And like now is like a huge time for that, which is why I think Leslie Van Houten should write a fucking book for young people, since she was like brainwashed with acid and charisma by Charles Manson into committing something absolutely heinous.
For doing the devil's business.
Yeah, for doing the devil's business. And I mean, I don't want to go into it now. I'm probably going to do an episode on all of like the weird, pernicious ideologies of the online realm. But some of it's really fucking evil and has like a lot of influence as well.
Yeah.
And like, it just shows how, you know, if you thought Manson was bad, fucking, you haven't seen shit yet. Like, what awaits us is like the 60s on fucking acid.
Buckle up, buckaroos. Maybe they'll make some interesting comics again.
I hope some interesting music will come out of it. Because there was that guy on Joe Rogan's episode recently, and he's sort of an accelerationist with this notion. He's like, culture just what happened, man. All culture is cult. And yeah, to an extent, that's true. But in his mind, he's like, let's just accelerate it. Let's just go. Let's just like make it all happen, because a lot of interesting shit will come out of it. And he sort of was talking about San Francisco as like a nucleus of this sort of thing. And part of the reason why tech came from there is because it was a nucleus of mad, insane ideas and people experimenting with crazy ideas and philosophies. And that you need that kind of hotbed in order to have innovation come out of it. And I think, yeah, to an extent that's true. But I think to an extent, a lot of darkness also comes out of it. Like a lot of the dark ethos that's kind of attempting to colonize humanity now was born in that kind of primordial ooze of chaos. Of chaos that wasn't led by any guiding principles. And a lot of very kind of opportunistic, charismatic, and sociopathic figures stomped out anything that could have potentially been good out of that whole kind of scene. Even though a lot of good surely emerged of it, like from it, like music and sort of ideas, the things that really took hold in culture and in the like all the hippie stuff like got kind of left behind when it came to sort of Silicon Valley. But they kept a lot of the transcendental meditation ideas, the sort of psychedelic drug culture. That's how they created this like neoliberal version of hippie 2.0 type of thing. And that was what ended up kind of being the culmination of that whole thing. And I think that I think that accelerating things in that way without any sort of guiding principle has the potential to like yield negative things. Or what, do you agree with the guy, and do you think that like it should just be let rip, basically?
Well, a little bit, yeah, because that's how you do get interesting things and people doing interesting stuff.
But what about people like Leslie Van Houten? You think she was just an egg that broke?
I mean, Charlie Manson.
Would you look her in the face and say, hey, you were just an egg that broke, sweetie? I think that's kind of sociopathic.
There's like a whole bunch of glowy manipulation going on in that situation.
Well, no, it was part of that energetic scene of cults that was going on in the 60s.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was also like totally manufactured by the CIA.
Yeah. Aside from that, a lot of them were. But the fact of the matter is there was a lot of crazy people experimenting with a lot of crazy ideas. And the dominant culture had become so unbearable to young people that they were seeking answers from anywhere they could find them without any sort of guidance or principle. And a lot of people got taken advantage of. A lot of people had their lives ruined. A lot of people died.
Yeah, well, that's going to be like, the same way in
would you say,
straight culture.
And what this guy is saying is that you have to let the fringe and the underground run rampant and insane. And sort of turn a blind eye to what happens within it. And because that's like what generates interesting culture, blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying, would you look someone like Leslie Van Houten in the face and say, hey, you're just an egg that broke. At least we got iPhones out of that San Francisco craziness or whatever.
No.
California craziness.
But you're just a victim of the times. You're in wrong place, wrong time. It's just part of the story. It's part of your story. It's just how it is for some people, isn't it? So you're saying that in this day and age, with people seeking alternatives to the status quo, people should just go for it. Yeah. Is that your they shouldn't exercise any caution at all? No. They should just go for it. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's probably going to be more fun, and you'll be more in contact with what it means to live.
Imagine we were settled boomers though, and we had a young 20, 30, whatever year old son.
I'd tell them to do.
Would you give him that advice?
Yeah, I'd tell him to go do whatever he wanted to do. And
if he was like, Dad, I found this like Viking settlement cult.
Sick. Go and do it. See what you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
Go and seek alternative ways of life and see what it's like. Like, that's the best thing that you could ever do with your life.
But the thing that worries me, though, is like when you watch documentaries like Wild Country. Sorry, my last thing that I'll say. When you watch documentaries like Wild Country and you see the older people in there reflecting on their time in the Rajneeshpuram,
mm-hmm.
they're haunted and like sort of disturbed by their past.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, they're always asked if they had regrets or whatever. And some of them say yes and some of them say no. Like some of them say, well, this was part of my life. This was part of my journey, so I don't regret
mm-hmm.
it. But the vast majority of them say that they do wish somebody had warned them and that they hadn't gotten caught up in the zeal of like the moment or whatever. And yeah, I think it's interesting because I'm like, if it could have been prevented, then maybe it should have been.
And if wishes were kisses, we'd all be very loved, wouldn't we?
Oh my God.
It's just, that's how the cookie crumbles and your life goes on. You gotta fucking deal with it. That's the best healthy way you can deal with it.
So you think that we should just like open Pandora's box?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's so hemmed in and fucking health and safety cautious, all this bullshit. You should just like let people fucking live and do stuff wild, because it's probably not going to be as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We're gonna live through it. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. But I also think people should be very cautious of the narratives that they do imbibe, including around all of this fucking UFO shit right now. Because like I said, if we're in like this crazy time of cults and shit, like everything's trying to sell you something basically. But anyway, good night to all of you, and we shall catch you again next week with a fresh episode. And be sure to join the Patreon if you want to get news about book club, because that's starting up again next week, and I'm going to be making all the announcements